Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio's brand new third Friday Travel Writers Panel discussion. This is a show that we do with the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association. We do one every second Tuesday, and that's with actual destinations. We do one every second Friday with travel writers talking about a destination, their recent stories. And then now we've got the third Friday where we get to have a panel discussion amongst three travel writers. So it's always fun. There's always fascinating destinations. And I encourage you to go to the website, IFWTWA.org. That is the website for the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. As you'll hear in this discussion and all the other shows, we always call it IFWTWA. It's a lot easier than saying, hey, International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. So IFWTWA is the place. So go to IFWTWA.org. So we've got our three travel writers today, and everybody's in all different parts of the country. When we're going to go to Arizona, we're going to go to South Carolina, we're going to go to Michigan. Currently, Nancy and I are in Peachtree City, Georgia. So it goes kind of well with our topic of today, which is garden destinations. Of course, we're going to talk about travel writing as well. So I want to start with Diva Linda. Linda Kassam is a food, wine, and shopping diva. That's how we know her. And she's a travel writer. Oh, gosh, Linda, you're the past president of IFWTWA, which you reigned for what, 8 years or something, longer than U.S. president?
Yeah,
reigned.
not more. Yeah, long time.
Long time. And so you did that, and then you're still on the board, right? And running part of
I'm still on the board. This year I'm going to be treasurer, and our new president is Corey Solomon.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know that. Oh, well, gee. Shake up. Yep. Well, you know, Corey's been doing a lot, and Chris has done a whole bunch as well. She's still doing the magazine?
For a very short time. Chris is going to take a little sabbatical, I think, from us for a little bit and get herself back together. And then we hope to see her back soon. So
awesome.
You know, it's not uncommon for us to pretty much run our president's ragged. It's a really difficult job, and you got to have a lot of passion and a lot of patience and a lot of energy. So I think this new president, Corey, should do well. She's a good networker and so forth and so on. So I think we're happy about that.
Yeah, she's on our show every year and talk about wine destinations, and she travels with dogs. We're all animal lovers here. So yes, cats and dogs are a thing. So everyone, Linda's websites, you've got allingoodtaste.info and then pnwtourist.com, covering the Pacific Northwest, because that's what Linda does. She's in the desert, Arizona desert area, Phoenix area, in the fall and winter, the best times, and the summer she goes boating, right? In the Pacific Northwest, but travel in the meantime.
Yeah, that's just about right. So in a very few short months, I'll be back on the boat, and then we live my husband's life, which is living on the boat and traveling around the Northwestern Canada. And then in the fall and spring, we come back here to Arizona and live my life. So it's an interesting compromise.
Yeah, but you travel the world, and this year you're back out, or I should say last year, you were back out and hoping to do more this year. I know, hopefully Egypt, right? That's going to be one of the bucket lists.
Fingers crossed, that would be something that I would really like to do. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
we love this. And Diva Linda's on our show every first Saturday. You can hear her, the Diva Linda, on Saturdays here on Big Blend Radio, and then also writes in our different Big Blend magazines as well. So I want to go over to Penny. Penny is here too. This is the first time Penny's been on the show. Penny Zabula. You can go to her website, sixlegswilltravel.com. Penny is in the sunshine of Greenville, South Carolina. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. Just a little update on the website. I have not posted for about a year because I've been getting paid quite handsomely for writing. And since I haven't been paying myself, guess what gets priority? But I am trying to figure out a way to keep the site going. So, I mean, there's plenty to read there, but it's not current.
Oh, but it's okay. So where are you writing that people can know about?
I write for Travel Awaits and Foodie Flashpacker, and I'm trying to expand my horizons a little bit.
Tell us a little bit about your journey into travel writing.
Well, my background was in public relations and community outreach. I worked as a staff writer for a newspaper when we lived in New Bern, North Carolina. And when we started talking about retiring, I started taking some online travel courses, travel writing courses, and then I went to a couple of workshops and started my blog, and have been doing this ever since. It's kind of, I call myself a semi-retiree because I'm not full-time retired and I'm not working full-time either. And the beauty of this is that I can set my own schedule. And I'm not looking to set the world on fire. I'm just looking to do some traveling and tell people about it and encourage people to travel.
I love that. And you travel with your dog as well, and your husband does the photography?
Yes, my husband is a photographer and a FAA certified drone pilot. And my guide dog just gets us a lot of attention because everybody stops to look at her.
Splendid. Because she's
Yes.
splendid. That's it.
She is.
I think this is amazing because you don't often hear about travel writers who are blind. And I think that it's going to be interesting talking to you about gardens because they're so sensory. And I think that you are a really good shining example of not letting a disability be a disability, and getting out there and letting people know that you can still travel. Part of why we travel and do is to let people know that, just like going to a garden, it's there for everyone to enjoy. It's how you go there, and also the destinations, how they make it accessible or not. Yeah. So I think it's a good thing with what you're doing. Let's go over to Veronica Behrman. Veronica's in the snow. Veronica's in Michigan, and I love this. She is the hip grandma, right? So you can go to her website, hipgrandmalife.com. She's also an amazing photographer. So you can go to veronicajunphotography.com. But she's out in Western Michigan. And so when did you get started with this? Was this pre-grandma or post-grandma?
Well, I have 5 children, and the first 4 are 4 kids within 5 years. And then when the youngest was 10,
wow,
surprise, along came number 5. And so life was very, very busy for me raising all of the kids. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 all 4 of the older children were just gone in a flash. And I found myself missing some chaos and missing a little bit of something to do. So I've always been a photographer. I've always been a bit of a writer, and those 2 things kind of partnered up together and led me down this path. So now I have 1 high schooler still left at home, but if you've ever had a high schooler around, he quote unquote doesn't really need me. So I keep busy doing all of the traveling and the writing and just having a great time with that. So
in Western Michigan, I think that's an interesting area too. The state of Michigan is beautiful and delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yes. And I live in Holland. Well, I live in a little town south of Holland, but I call Holland hometown. And we are very, very Dutch settled. So I think we're going to probably talk a little bit about that. But yeah, we have amazing Dutch cuisines and amazing Dutch culture and amazing everything. So yeah.
I want to go. We haven't been there, Nancy. I think we've seen signs for it when we're driving through Michigan.
Yeah,
and,
you need to come in the spring. In May, you can come and visit our Tulip Time Festival.
I know that's going to be one of the main destinations.
Awesome.
They're talking about. I think it's very important to talk about gardens. Botanical gardens, need to be supported, and even public gardens, small gardens, pocket park gardens. I look at them just as important as parks. Like Nancy and I travel on our Love Your Parks tour to maintain them. And Even the
Mhm.
gardeners that are involved sometimes in public parks are the gardeners who actually do all the gardening and like master gardeners in graveyards and cemeteries because they need help. And so I think it's just this interesting thing that should be part of a destination when people go is to go to the local gardens you get information, what grows locally, there's demonstration gardens. And it's just it's a nice way to kind of soak up in the surroundings. So, Linda, I know gardens this is like tea, one of the most important things for you. We
Wherever
can't
I'm
hear you.
going,
Oh, there you are. Okay.
wherever I go, on a press trip or a personal trip, I like to see if I can also connect with gardens. Often the hosts like you to see the food and wine portion of it and the activity portion. And I consider the gardens one of the most important activities that we can do. So I've seen a lot of gardens. And my favorite so far is Butchart Gardens in Canada, near Vancouver. I think it's actually in Victoria. And you know, that just has everything. I'll start with it has tea, so you can have afternoon tea, and it's just beautiful. It used to be a limestone quarry, if you can believe that. And
Wow.
Oh, wow.
lady had a vision for something bigger and greater in her lifetime, and so she created these gardens, and they just have everything you could want, and they're very smart about their tourism and tourist approach, which is, if you're within 2 hours of the Butchart Gardens, there's a bus that will take you to it. And it's
Wow.
generally a direct bus, or you can get on. I don't think many people know that. So it's a city, but these are city buses that will come in. And I think they come in every 2 hours. So you're not stuck for, a whole day if that's not what you want to do. So my first time there, I took a bus from Vancouver to I think it was in Vancouver. No, I think it was in Victoria. But anyway, it was about an hour and a half away, and on a bus. And there's tons of buses that come all the time. Or you can take a tour anywhere that you go sightseeing that has the ability to reach the gardens. There'll be a sightseeing tour for it, and they're very, very popular. Hundreds of people get on these things. So it's a wonderful thing. And there's lots and lots of different things to do. My favorite things were the rose garden, because I love roses. You just immerse yourself in the scent and the feel and just the wonderful attitude of the rose bushes. I think I just love. They're just lovely little things. And then they had a Japanese garden, which is very soothing. And as you say, they have when an activity destination is well kept, it just has a lasting impression on you. If you went to these things and there were grass sprouts everywhere, or the roads were the walk paths weren't kept up, it would be not a great thing. So it's pristine. It's the restaurant. I think there's 3 restaurants. There's a carousel, a beautifully maintained carousel. So there's things for the kids, there's things for the adults. I think it's really good to introduce children to gardens early so they can understand there's things past Disneyland that can make them happy.
Oh, I love the children's gardens. They're my favorite.
I know.
Because they always have little statues and
They're
little hide
cute.
and seek
Yeah.
things and interactive. And that's beautiful. Butchart Gardens, you sent photos, and everyone will be posting them too, because that's a very world famous garden.
It's world famous, and it's just as beautiful as you can even imagine in the spring and in the fall. Summers are very mild there, so that's just great too. You're not going to be it's not a desert, obviously. It's Canada, and it's really quite lovely all year round. So, but less crowds in early spring and late fall, just so you know. But it's just everything, including the tea, the afternoon tea. I think I keep coming back to that, was wonderful. The only thing that could have been more wonderful is if they would consider putting their tea service either in the Japanese garden or the rose garden. I think probably the issue is access to kitchens. That's my guess, but I think someone really smart can figure that.
That's, I think, yeah, going out in the garden is important. Penny, I want to go to you. Tell us a little bit about your garden journeys.
Well, there have been a lot of them in the last 10 years, and I can't really pick a favorite because they're all very different. And I remember going to my first botanical garden when I was a child. I grew up in Montreal, and the botanical gardens there have always been beautiful, but all I remember is, looking at the flowers, yeah, very pretty, and let's go home. Gardens have
Okay.
changed. Gardens have changed tremendously. Linda was talking about the children's gardens. And a lot of the gardens that I've visited have them with the little statues, and they're
Mhm.
very geared to children. They also have programs, classes, events that I don't remember from the past. In Fayetteville, North Carolina, the Cape Fear Botanical Garden, it's about 2 miles from downtown. So urban gardens are very popular right now, and they're a lot of fun because you can get away from the urbanness by going to one of these gardens. But they have a full-time therapist, and there's a therapeutic garden that she works with people who come, people with disabilities. They've got raised beds,
Oh,
so
cool.
that someone in a wheelchair can do some gardening, and it's just magnificent. And they also have a really nice cafe, the Garden View Cafe, which
Mm.
is the food there is really good, and then you go out and you walk it off on the garden paths. Lowther Castle is a totally different story altogether. Lowther Castle is located in England's Lake District, and it used to be a castle, and the walls have been torn down. You can sort of see the
Oh.
walls,
Mm.
and they have resurrected the property. It used to belong to someone known as the Yellow Earl, and it had been in the family for a long time. The Yellow Earl was a bit of a rake, went through all the money. He was called the Yellow Earl because he was obsessed with yellow. He wore a lot of it. It was used in the decor. His
Okay.
cars were all yellow.
So weird.
Yeah, he was a bit strange, but he totally
Yeah.
destroyed the family fortune. And fortunately, it now has been revised, but it's a beautiful setting. It also has like a children's castle and playground, so it's almost like a little amusement park for children.
Yeah,
And I could go on and on. I don't
I
want to.
think I've been there when I was a kid. Nancy, didn't we go to Lowther in
It's
England?
on, yes, we did. And that's where we also ran into the elk. Remember there were elk that were bellowing across the
Yeah,
river?
there's elk,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
isn't that where you rescued the swan?
yes, that was fun.
Ah,
The swan,
of
no,
course.
the swan was in the river, and they had these metal
It was like
hooks
a
that I
pond
think
thing, yeah.
that people would tie their boats up to. And the swan put its neck through the hoop. And then, but I mean, all it had to do was reverse, but it just started flapping. So its wings are on the top of the water, and its head is under the water. And it's flapping and flapping and flapping. He can't get out. So dummy here goes, I'll help you. Have you ever been beaten up by a swan?
Yeah,
They-
they are nasty critters. They're
No,
They hurt.
beautiful.
They hurt.
No, they're just really strong. So I got in the water and I pulled him out. So the beating of the wings were now on top of me, and he did a number, man. But I was happy that I rescued him, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he thanked me later.
And Nancy became the main attraction the next day.
Oh, I
Come watch
know.
Nancy the Swan Lady.
Got bruises all over. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like a truck ran over me, but
Wow.
I mean, you can't just let it die. What are you gonna do?
No,
But,
and they're so
I-
large.
Mhm. But there's
Yeah, I
something
think
about a swan in a garden setting, that it's just the
they're
sheer
beautiful.
elegance of a
They're
swan,
just so, but men, when they get mad, they
Yeah,
get really
they can
mad.
get really nasty.
Yeah. Linda, have you been to Lowther?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yet.
It's
Yet.
beautiful with the
Not
fall.
yet. Sounds fabulous.
It's
Mhm.
it's beautiful in the fall for sure.
Mm. What
Yeah.
We were
about you,
there in the
Veronica?
summer.
Do you do some
Mm.
international travel, or do you focus mostly on the States?
At this time, I'm mostly focusing on the States. However, I look forward to expanding that into international as time allows and we move forward. But we
Cool.
have gorgeous gardens right here in Michigan. We were talking about favorites. One of my favorites is the Frederick Meyer Gardens in
We've been
Grand
there.
Rapids. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
we
about
went there a
45
couple years
minutes from
ago.
me.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
it is
beautiful. Did
awesome.
you come during the Butterflies Are Blooming exhibit?
No,
Oh,
well,
no.
I remember the children's garden was one of my favorites, and they have a castle. And then they
Yep,
had
they
all
do.
the lakes. They had the whole display of the lakes, but we were there right during the pandemic, so we couldn't go into the
Oh.
conservatory as much. Well, no,
Yeah.
parts
Yeah.
of it were open, parts were closed, but it is one of the top 10 outdoor sculpture gardens in the world, I think, in the top 10. It's
Amazing, and I'm so blessed to have it so close. But in the spring, between March and April, they open a large greenhouse area, and it's called the Butterflies Are Blooming exhibit. And they have over 7,000 tropical butterflies that
Wow.
just fly freely around you, and you can walk through. It's very warm, so if you go and it's cold Michigan weather, leave your layers outside and head on in. But there's just stunning butterflies everywhere, and if you're very lucky, you might get one that lands on you. Sometimes they land on my hair because
Really?
they like
Yeah.
my pink hair. So
I know. They're like, look at that flower.
yeah, let's
Yay.
land on it. That's
And-
cool. But Frederick Meyer and their Japanese garden, Linda, I don't know if you've been to this garden, but you must go because the Japanese
Yes.
garden is
yes,
gorgeous. And
Amazing.
I just
It-
like it because it's also like Frederick Meyer is a grocery store dude of
yeah,
history wise.
Frederick and Lena Meyer are the founders of the Frederick Meyer Gardens and Sculpture Park, and they are well known in this area. And I have a story on my blog. One year I went to a private photographer's event at the Butterfly Gardens so that I could have a less crowded opportunity to photograph the butterflies. And very sweet family came in with a very elderly woman in a wheelchair, and one of the gals in our photography party marched over and said, "This is a private display and this is not open for public." And the people were very courteous to her and said, "Okay, well, thank you for letting us know." And I thought, we have all these photographers here, and this woman is clearly elderly. And so I approached and said, "Would you like me to take a family portrait of you while you're here? I have my camera on me." And I just felt bad for them because they had kind of been chastised by this other person. And they said, "Oh, thank you. That'd be lovely." So I took the photos and said, "I'd like an email and I'll send them to you." And the guy handed me his card, and it was Lena Meyer was the woman in the wheelchair. She's passed now, but it was Lena Meyer and her family and her sons. And I thought, oh, I'm so glad I wasn't the woman to go over there and shake my finger and tell them, "You need to get out. This is private." I'm pretty sure Lena Meyer could do whatever she wanted. And if she wanted to come in on a Sunday morning and enjoy the butterflies.
That is so funny.
Unbelievable, isn't it? How people are. But that's something we learn in travel is to
And travel
calm
is
down
Yeah,
because
calm
things are going
down.
to get
And you
weird
never
somewhere.
know. You just
Mhm.
don't know. You don't know who you're with, and you don't know how word will travel. And you just must present the way you would like people to know you as. And
Yeah.
I cringed for the
And
for the
and
poor
you
woman
shouldn't.
that
It's a garden. You're supposed to be chilled out and having a good
And-
time.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
but
they weren't bothering any of us. They were just there, and they were just there looking at the butterflies. So, and
Wow.
actually, lovely Lena Meyer ended up with a butterfly right on her finger. I don't know
See?
if one of the attendants was able to kind of, I mean, you're discouraged from trying to touch them, but if they land
Good.
on you, that's great. Well, somehow she had one on her finger. So we have a great photo of her with a butterfly on her finger. So
Oh,
that was fun. But
that's cool.
I want to talk about one other, you said children's gardens, and I was recently in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, which is directly across Lake Michigan from where I am. And they have the bookworm gardens. I don't know if any of you have been there,
Huh.
but
No.
Bookworm Gardens is phenomenal. It only opened in 2010, so it's fairly new, yet all of the garden spaces are based on favorite children's stories. And they've had people
Cool.
come in and build beautiful displays and little houses. And as you go through, you'll find the Three Little Pigs and there's the Little Blue Truck. So it's not all old
Cool.
classic fairy tales. It's some of the newer, beautiful or more beloved stories just through the whole
Cool.
gardens.
I've
And
seen
so,
some
Well,
of that in
That's a
parks
great
now too.
idea.
You know, in
Yeah,
parks,
Great
Nancy,
idea.
I think it was Thomasville, Georgia, and they're known for their roses. They have an amazing rose garden, but
Mm.
there was this park and Thomasville, Georgia has this massive, one of the biggest live oak trees. I mean, it's
Yeah.
oh,
massive. So, and it's where nature's own bread comes from. We learned because there's a train that goes through the town delivering bread. But any nature's own. I got to get that right. But they had in that park is one of the first ones I saw where they kind of it's like a reading park and they go through.
Hmm?
It's like a
Mhm.
community park. So it's kind of similar, but not as like built up and with all the like little exhibits throughout. So kids have got something to get some walking. They can push and listen.
Yes.
I think they have a book or something. But I've seen a few community parks embrace that now, which I think is fantastic. You know, keeps the
Yeah,
kids
at Bookworm
engaged.
Gardens, they have at the beginning of each little section, they have like a cubby and there's a waterproof or weatherproof version of the story. So you
Mm.
can take it out of the cubby and sit and read through the story or read as you walk and then you just return it to the cubby. So I think it would be phenomenal if I lived there to take the grandkids and just
Mm.
pick, today we're going to
Mm.
do this story and just spend some time in that area. And they
That's
have
fun.
chairs and houses and little climbing structures and all the things. And it's just so creative and
I
such
love that.
yeah, to Linda's point, you know, we need to get the children learning about the gardens. I think it was Linda that said that, or
Mhm.
maybe you, Lisa, I can't remember, but
It's
someplace
the
other than
diva.
Disney
Trust me,
World.
it's the diva. If we got the diva
The
on the
diva
show,
did
it's the
it.
diva, and it was the diva. But tell us about the Tulip Festival because this is exciting. That's the thing we're talking. Now is the time to really plan these spring events that start happening with tulips and ranunculus and all of that. And you're in Holland, so like you
Yes.
really have Holland. Like you have like Tivoli
Yes,
Gardens in your backyard.
we have tulip time comes around annually. For I believe over 100 years now we've had the Tulip Time Festival. Don't quote me on that, I may have that just a little bit wrong. But we, of course, you know, the Netherlands is known for its tulip gardens and tulip fields with long beds of tulips and colors and windmills. And Tulip Time Holland, Michigan is all of the best of that. We have Windmill Island Gardens, which is right here in Holland, and we have a working windmill called the De Zwaan that was transported here from the Netherlands. In fact, it was the last
Wow.
windmill officially from the Netherlands that was legally sold to somebody outside of the Netherlands. Apparently they had been doing this before they sold it to us in 1964, but they were seeing some things were happening with their windmills that they weren't pleased with. So we had already signed the contract to pick up De Zwaan here in Holland. And then they changed their policy and said, we won't be selling anymore. And so we had a little bit of a leeway there because we had already signed the contract. So we were able to get the windmill, transport it, and it is still a working windmill. It still
Wow.
uses local grains and the windmill works. You can tour through the windmill, go up inside of it. And we have the only woman miller in the world. I believe. Ooh, I'm trying to make sure I got all my details correct, but we have a woman miller and she takes care of the windmill and oversees the milling. So
I didn't even know they were called women millers. Like she's a millerette.
well, she's a miller, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she's a miller who is a female, kind of like a male nurse,
Yeah.
you know. It's still just a nurse, but unusual to be male. So the same with millers. And but yeah, we have the Windmill Island Gardens has just stripes and stripes and stripes of tulip beds, just like the Netherlands. So that's gorgeous. And then, of course, during tulip time, we celebrate all of our beautiful Dutch culture. And so we have Dutch dancing in the streets for the whole week of tulip time. It takes place the first full week of May each year. So
nice.
from Saturday to Saturday. And we have a carnival that comes in, but that's the least of the attractions. We have culture, theater, headliner, performing acts. There's food displays. We have 3 giant parades throughout the week. The Dutch dancers take place several times throughout the day down the main road of our downtown area. I was a Dutch dancer for several years, so have been that and done that. That's fun.
That's cool.
The costumes are very strictly monitored, so they're very authentic. And yeah, it's a great place to come. We also have 7 miles of tulip lanes. So if you just tool around in your vehicle or on a bicycle, you can go up and down these lanes, and the city plants tulips all along the edges of the road. And so there's just gorgeous tulips everywhere you look.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, I
like
hear
that.
they do this up in the Skagit Valley, which you were just in, Diva Linda. The Skagit Valley, they do this.
Yeah, if
Whitby
you
and
haven't
that
done
area?
it, yeah, so if you haven't gone to Tulip Week or Tulip Month, depending on depends on how many tulips actually were able to grow. It is very similar to what you're talking about, Veronica, and you have the opportunity just to drive up and down around the tulip fields. There is one stop that has a store where you can buy bulbs and anything tulip that you can possibly imagine. There's events that go along with this. It is a site you won't forget. There are some, and this is very non-commercial, a very non-commercial event. So there's farmers that have agreed for people to come look at the tulips, but they didn't agree to have parking lots or anything else. You're in farm country, so it's very difficult to find parking once you identify a field you'd like to see. It gets to be hilarious, and lots of people go in the ditches, and it's not.
Now I'm going. No.
Yeah, and then once you get out into the fields, there are signs everywhere that says, "Please don't disturb the tulips; they're still growing." But of course, people want to do photo ops, and away they go. And I don't think they understand, like I didn't, that it is mud to your ankles. So if you're going to ignore the signs and want to be out in the fields, there are a couple fields that'll let you go. Don't wear your best shoes. Wear your rain shoes, rain boots.
They need to embrace the wooden shoe up there like we have here.
Wooden shoe. There you go. I have not tried that.
Well, the Netherlands is known for their wooden shoes, and they are water. Yeah, they look like a clog with a little bit of a pointed toe, and you can buy them everywhere around here, especially in tulip time week. But yeah, the Dutch dancers wear them, and they make a delightful clomping sound. But yeah, they're waterproof. They're very, very lightweight, and they're surprisingly comfortable. I have a pair, and I wore them when I was Dutch dancing, and I would clomp around town with them for a whole day and not think anything of it. But that is why, because in the Netherlands, that is what they wore because of the muddy, boggy tulip fields. So yeah.
Boggy is a good word. That's a
Why
good,
is it that every time Diva Linda is on the show, somehow the topic goes to shoes?
Well, I am thinking Veronica has inspired me. So when I get up to Washington in a couple months, 3-4 months, tulip time will be there. And when I write an article about it this year, I'm going to talk about the wooden shoes.
Oh,
Yeah,
here we go.
I
You
am
have
gonna
to
find
get
a
a pair.
pair. I'm gonna
Remember-
wear a pair. I'm gonna
You
clog
wear
around
'em
in the
on the
bog.
Linda,
Listen, I've got
Linda,
a
you
photo of
connect-
her
boat.
in
if
it.
you
Wear 'em on
connect
the
with me,
boat.
Linda, outside of here, you connect with me and I can hook you up with some wooden shoes.
Oh my gosh, dude, you've made the
There you
Diva's
go.
day.
This is
Seriously,
very exciting.
And
Can you
and
wear
if you
them
get
on-
them, if I get them at the little shop, we have a wooden shoe factory where you can watch them make the shoes. And
Oh,
so
wow.
seriously, Linda, you need to add Holland, Michigan to your bucket list. You need to come
Come
visit
on.
me. I'll show you.
Oh,
I'll give you the insider's tour.
My God, this
Yeah.
is so exciting. I can't
I got
stand
the
it.
giggles. I have got the giggles. I have got the giggles on
Yeah.
this
Can you
because
wear
I
them
have a
on-
photo.
I
Linda,
will
Linda,
go
can
can you
do-
wear
and they
them on
will-
the boat?
Oh,
Well,
that's
they
wear
will
them
engrave. They will engrave
on the
your
boat?
name on the
No,
shoes for free.
Engrave your name.
So
You
you'll have.
This is it. This is it.
Oh,
Okay.
Diva,
I'm
the
so
Diva
excited.
shoes. Yes, the Diva clogs.
That's
And I'm
right.
gonna do another farm tour, I think, when I'm back in Washington. The boat's in Seattle, but it's very easy to get to all the outlying farms if you want.
Wow.
And I noticed last time when we did a couple of farm tours, my Diva shoes didn't come back for another season. So
so
this is gonna be exciting.
the clogs sound like if you want to kick somebody, you
About
probably could.
that,
Yeah.
You
I'm very
can.
excited.
They are
Very
they are
excited.
they're
They're
lovely
kickable.
for kicking.
Thank
A
you,
lot of 'em-
Veronica.
A lot of them are hand painted as artifacts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. In fact, a couple of years ago, we had during the tulip time, we had local artists that were outfitted with some large pairs of wooden shoes, and they all painted them different themes, and you could find them around town.
Cool.
And they were beautiful. They were absolutely
See,
stunning.
Diva
So,
Linda
yeah.
That's
you-
very
I-
Diva.
Diva Linda, I have a photo of you when you went over. I think you were at Tivoli Gardens or somewhere around there.
Mhm.
And there's a photo of you with your arms up inside a clog. You were sitting in a clog, a giant clog.
Oh,
Funny.
that's when I was in Holland. That's right.
Yeah.
It was the big shoe. That's right.
Yeah,
Oh my
I should have
gosh.
figured out what they did. Okay. This is
There
there
very
you
See?
go.
exciting.
See,
This
you
is
put those
okay,
big
Pet.
shoes
I'm
on.
going to Penny. Penny, have you worn these shoes?
No, I haven't. They sound intriguing. I would love to try on a pair at least.
The trick
Yeah.
is to wear a lot of socks. You buy them
Ah.
big and you wear several pairs of socks, which squeeze your foot in and give you lots of cushion.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
I
then
like
in the
that.
South Carolina heat, I don't think that's going to be comfortable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't, in the South, I haven't seen as many of the tulipy kind of things, more poppies, bog gardens. The South, the gardens in the South, azaleas, one of the favorites is a North Carolina Arboretum in Asheville. They have
Mm.
the depository for all the azaleas. So each state has an azalea, its own state azalea.
amazing.
And so when
Mm.
you go in there, and unfortunately, when we first went there, it was the end of the azalea season, but at the very end of the trail of all 50, one was in bloom, and I was like, "Thank you,"
But you-
like bow down to you.
Finally,
But that's the thing. I think the South, just it's so different, wouldn't you say, Penny? For when it
Oh,
comes
yeah.
to gardens.
Yeah, it is different. Of course, we've got these big magnolia trees,
Oh.
which are
Oh,
gorgeous for a
amazing.
very short period of time, and then they shed the rest of the year nonstop. We had a big one in our yard and we got rid of it because
Oh.
the juice
Oh.
was not worth the squeeze.
Well,
I mean, you're
do you-
raking leaves all year round.
well, that's the
Ugh.
thing about going to gardens, that you can appreciate everybody's work.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
right.
So let's talk about gardens that you haven't been to that you would like to go. Let's start with you, Penny. Is there a garden that you would like to put on your bucket list?
Nothing in particular. I kind of go with the flow.
Mhm.
I love visiting National Trust properties in England where
Oh,
they have a lot of old houses, and the houses have gorgeous gardens attached to them. You
Mm.
don't just have to go to a botanical garden to see beautiful gardens.
Right.
Here in Greenville, we have Falls Park, where we have a waterfall right in the center of town. And in Falls Park, you will find some beautiful flowers and plants. But no, there's nothing in particular that that I would, well, yeah, there is one down near Myrtle Beach.
Mm.
And it's apparently at Christmas, it's gorgeous. They have paths of lights and beautiful sculptures. And yes, I'd like to go to that one.
Mm. That's the thing about the seasons. You know, we went to Longwood Gardens in Pennsylvania,
Mhm.
and it was like the Garden of Fountains. Like each one seems to
Right.
have its thing. Like San Diego. Diva Linda, have you been to the San Diego Botanical Gardens in Encinitas? They've got the largest collection of bamboo, I think. Excellent
We're
children's
right
garden.
To it. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Oh, ranunculus in Carlsbad. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah,
The
the
flower
flower
fields of
field.
Carlsbad should
Oh,
be
it's
on everyone's
amazing.
bucket list. I think we've done
Amazing.
probably when you talk about not just botanical gardens, Penny, I think you really bring a huge point. Like we're learning that arboretums are really fascinating because they're really working on the
Oh,
soil
yeah.
and the land and what's local, and it's also saving trees. You know, it's like I say, it's those pocket parks. It's sometimes just your community park will have a small garden that, you know, the
Mhm.
master gardeners get in, or demonstration gardens so you know what to grow. And so as writers, when we travel, that's I think should be part of that list. It's like public art, you know,
Mhm.
should be part of it. You know, it's especially with photography and, you know, Instagram and all of that, it gives a place. It's when they have flower baskets. That isn't that it, Nancy? We always
Oh.
say when a downtown has flower
Mhm.
baskets and public art.
Remember, right, Encinitas had no flower baskets, and one year the council all voted that it should have flower baskets. And within 6 months, I couldn't believe the difference, what that downtown looked like.
Mhm,
It had a whole new personality and life to it because of the
mhm,
flower baskets.
mhm.
Well, Greenville's downtown used to be pretty derelict. It was scruffy, it was nasty, and it went through a revitalization process. And now we've got these gorgeous tree-lined streets. We have Falls Park in the middle of town with the waterfall and the gardens and walking paths and all sorts of events that happen. And it's amazing what greening up a city can do for
Oh,
the atmosphere, for the economy, for the
mhm.
people who live there.
Mm.
We've lived here for 2 years, and people tell us if we'd been here 20 years ago, we wouldn't have recognized it.
Mm.
Mm.
And
But
I think
another,
go ahead.
sorry, just a quickie on gardens. Visiting any kind of garden is like a sensory vacation.
Mhm.
You have the smells. Usually there are a lot of birds, so you hear a lot of bird
Yeah.
songs, even in the urban gardens.
Mhm.
You'll hear a lot of bird song. You can touch the plants, the flowers, and I strongly recommend people do that because it's a whole different perspective. And I'm going to be
Mm.
quiet.
No, you can talk all you want. It's all good.
Oh, and
No,
the
it's
smell. You got to
mhm,
do the smell. You got to
mhm,
smell each kind of
Yep.
flower.
mhm.
That's huge.
But-
Yeah.
And they do that in children's gardens where you have those sensory gardens where you touch and smell and, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that's important. Kids want to touch things, you know, and I just appreciate what you're saying about that revitalization. And that's, Nancy, what happened in Encinitas with the downtown
Mhm.
Encinitas Main Street Association when they were becoming a certified Main Street through the Main Street program. And that was one of the first things to show pride and get the
That was
businesses involved. So
awesome.
I think that is, there's flowers everywhere, and it's a nice balance for nature, like you're saying, and
Mhm.
tea for Diva Linda and tea.
Right.
So Veronica, where's a garden that you haven't been to that you want to go to?
Well, the Desert Botanical Garden in Phoenix, Arizona.
Great.
Have you been there? Diva Linda's getting very
Oh, you guys are
excited.
gonna have a swap vacation thing going
We're
on.
gonna have to. We're gonna have to travel together. I feel a trip
Fabulous.
coming on. Yeah, I have heard about it. I've seen some pictures of it, and it just sounds amazing. And I am from kind of the Great Lakes area, so we're used to a lot of water and wet. And I've only visited Arizona one time, and I kind
Oh.
of fell in love a little bit just because it's so opposite from what we have here in our climate of Michigan. So
Mhm.
I'm really, really interested in a trip out there and seeing. I hear they have a lot of endangered or desert plants that they're caring for and trying to kind of bring back. So I would love to explore it, and everybody loves a good cactus. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Diva Linda,
yeah.
what's on your bucket list for a garden?
Well, as I look to see where travel might take me, there's a garden in Singapore.
Oh,
Costs
That was
it
the
costs-
second one on my list.
It's called Garden by the Bay. It cost $1 billion
Wow.
to put it all together. And then right
Wow.
down the street, there's another one called the Singapore Botanic Gardens, which is smaller, but it's more focused on local stuff. So it has a ginger garden, has an orchid garden.
The
Ooh.
orchids.
It has
Oh.
seasonal opera performances. Somebody told me they also have tea. So of course that would be on my list, but I've done quite a bit of travel in that area, but not Singapore. So I think maybe I'll be looking to see how we might do that, and would be really lovely if
Bring me.
Singapore. Bring you, okay. if
Bring me.
Singapore
That was
would-
on my list, but I was trying to stay, continental. But if
Oh,
I had to go
no.
outside,
No, we
Singapore
have to
is.
be big, and bold. And
Hey,
big.
this is the
That's right.
International
Right.
Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association.
That's right.
And may I just say that flowers and wine go hand in hand.
Oh,
Oh, absolutely.
And the birds
talk about
love
a
it. If-
feast of the senses. Penny
That's
can
how-
probably speak on that.
That's how we roll. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying, Penny, about the going in the gardens. And do you enjoy wine in the gardens? That's it.
I enjoy wine anywhere.
Oh,
There you go.
I'm coming to see you. I'm coming to
Yeah.
see-
We're bringing Penny, Diva Linda. She's the wine girl.
All
I'm
right.
liking it.
I like it.
I'm game.
Penny, where's your next destination?
Well, actually, we're going up to New York for IMM. And then our next planned trip, we're going to Greece in the spring, and we're hoping to do that by going through Turkey and then going to Bahrain and then
Ooh,
Greece
wow.
and home from there. So
Wow.
we're working that one out, and otherwise we've got a lot of things we would like to do, but nothing planned yet.
Well, I want to make sure that you know that there's a individual press trip offer from Greece that you can apply for. And
I've already
suggest-
applied for it.
Oh, good, because I think
She
that would be
knows.
fabulous. Sophia is a fabulous guide, and I've done it twice. It's absolutely wonderful.
Well, we would love to do that if we can.
Oh,
So,
did
yeah.
you go to the last conference? Because I remember, Penny, you were saying you were talking about St. Petersburg and that area and Florida area. Did you go to the conference, or is that a separate
Yes.
trip?
Oh, yes. I was at the conference, first one.
Awesome, awesome. So everyone, this is annual, right? That the internet, the IFWTWA conference happens,
Yes.
Stephen. It's
Yeah.
every annual one. Awesome.
Mm.
So
It
that's
was, it was
cool.
very cool. I learned a lot. Nice to meet people that I knew from Facebook, and yeah, it was a good time.
That's
And
awesome.
the press trip to Tampa that we went on was excellent.
See, that's the
Oh,
thing.
that's
I
it,
think
right?
that's part of IFWTWA is really good at, putting these trips together, partnering people. Otherwise, it's
Mhm.
like a sea, trying to contact people on your own and then them trying to find you, so it's a good matchmaking thing. And then also just to keep up with industry standards and what's changing in the world, so I think those conferences are cool. And you always go cool
Mhm.
places too,
Yes.
Mhm.
I
So
don't
this
mean
year
cool as
we're
in
going on a
Veronica's.
boat. We're gonna
What?
have a conference at sea. We're going on a
Oh.
boat, and it's
Wow.
specifically focused on food and wine. So that should be fun.
Wow.
That's
I'm hoping-
dangerous.
I'm planning to get on that one. That
Good for
looks
you. Good for
Yes.
you.
I am actually going on a cruise. I'm leaving next week to go on a Caribbean cruise. So
Nice.
I will have good practice before the IFWTWA cruise coming
Ooh.
up in the fall. So
Oh,
Good.
wow. It sounds like, you guys with going to all the coastal places, you're going to see awesome gardens as well. Diva Linda,
Mhm.
where's your next spot?
Um, Well, I think I told you on the last show we did with you, for the next 4 months, I have to concentrate on scholarship recipients from another group that I am part of, and they are food oriented. So several food oriented schools and charities have benefited from Les Dames d'Escaffier's charity, and so I'm going to do some spotlights, and then when I get to Washington, there's some things there that I think I want to do another farm stay. I know we're going into Canada, so we'll do Victoria as well. I'll go back to the Butchart Gardens, and then in the fall, fingers crossed, I would really like to do a trip to Egypt. So we'll see.
Yeah, I love
Oh.
that. I love that. She's gonna walk like an Egyptian with clogs from Holland,
wine.
Michigan.
Now that's an
and
international
clogs.
trip.
I know. I love that. I love that. In closing, I know being part of IFWTWA is very beneficial, as we were discussing, but one tip that each of you would give an aspiring writer, someone getting started. Penny, let's start with you. Any tips out there for writers?
Well, I think the
There's
biggest
a cat in the screen. Sorry, she's listening to
Sorry,
you.
she's very nosy.
Hello, kitty. There's a okay. I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry, yeah, any
Um,
tips? Yeah, sorry. It was-
That's okay. I love cats.
He was listening to you.
Mhm.
I would say network as much as you can.
Mhm.
Learn what you can from fellow writers. I have found that travel writers are very giving, very willing to share ideas and tips, and network.
Very cool. Very
Good
cool.
point.
Diva
Mhm.
Linda, any tips for writers? And by the way, Diva Linda just has an article and interview up on blendradioandtv.com for promoting, well, not promoting, but sharing with writers what to do social media wise to get your work out there. So you could be published,
Mhm.
but you got to promote it, and it's good for, anyway, you can listen to that and read the article. It's very in-depth and good. So check that out. So sorry, stealing your thunder, Diva.
I think that it's very, very important to join an association. If it's not IFWTWA, NACHA is fine, SATW is fine. But not only do you need to join it, you need to participate in it. Find a committee or make one up of your own and present it to the board. Because through the committees, you are more engaged in what we do or what an association is doing. I used to do a lot of work in chambers of commerce, and we always knew that the engaged members would stay with us. But a member who just bought a membership and then we never saw them when the year's up, they're saying, "What did you ever do for me? I was sitting here, but you didn't do anything for me." So anyway, join an association. You can learn so much. The networking is there. It's already in place. We're doing a lot of webinars, professional development. I started that when I was president because I felt that we needed more educational opportunities, and it's blown into something far more than I could have even expected. So anyway, choose a committee, find out what they are, join it, and you will talk
right.
about networking. You'll know more about the organization, and you know much more about your fellow members and things to do, where it's going, what we're doing.
And I want to add on to that. It's better for your resume.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You
It's
get
way
way
better
more
for
out
your
of
resume,
it.
your
Yeah.
bio. Yeah, it's
You
way
get way
better.
more of an organization if you participate.
Well, before we brought Big Blend in, I was associated with Big Blend way before I was associated with IFWTWA, and so we have a very long history of promoting some of my clients when I was in PR, and then when I decided to get out of that, I came to after I was in the association a while. I said, we've got to do more for our members, and they don't really know how to get on a radio, how to do any of that stuff, and it's key to your resume that you're doing more than just writing. You need to do more. What else can you do? And this radio thing that Lisa has developed for us You know, I'm fairly focused, but when it comes to Lisa, I just say, I think I want blah, blah. And she goes, oh, we can do that plus something else and wrap it all together. So it's an amazing opportunity for our members.
It's fun.
Mhm.
It's
It
great
is.
for audience.
It
It's
is.
how people get to know who you are. You know, we were talking about that on that last conversation, Diva Linda, that people hear your voice, they get to have that warm, cozy feeling of who, you know, it's yeah, go beyond, and that's a good thing. So Veronica, tell us about your tip. Penny disappeared. Hopefully she'll come
Yeah,
back.
we
Yeah.
lost Penny.
Mhm.
My tip would be to stretch outside of your comfort zone. I will be publishing my first book, and my first manuscript is due in March, and it will be coming out this fall. It's about Holland, Michigan, and 100 things to do in Holland, Michigan before you
Love
die.
that
So
series. Readley Press is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
with working with Reedy Press has been phenomenal, and this is a new stretch for me, but I'm really enjoying that. And the other tip I would say is always work on your writing skills. I mean, for me, I'm a natural writer, but it's easy to get into bad habits. It's easy to get into, so to listen to others and to seek out learning opportunities to continuously improve. I mean, we get to this old grandma age and it's easy to just kind of stagnate, and that's never healthy and never good. And we want to keep our brain moving. So I've recently attended a writers workshop conference, which was phenomenal. And so just to keep pushing. I mean, we're travelers and we're writers. So keep developing the writing along with enjoying the travel.
Exactly. I love it. Well, ladies, thank you for joining us. I'm going to give everyone Penny's website again, and it's Penny Zabula, sixlegswilltravel.com, and that's spelling it out, 6 Six Legs Will Travel. Also, Diva Linda Kassam, go to allingoodtaste.info, also pnwtourist.com. I got the PNW Tourist, is that right? Okay, that's it. pnwtourist.com. I just go, she's not a tourist. Diva Linda's not a tourist. I just like, she's a diva. She's like, okay, come on. And everyone, Veronica's websites again, veronicajunphotography.com and hipgrandmalife.com. And when you go on hipgrandmalife.com, she's got a story in there also about the tulips in Holland. So thank you all for joining us. Please keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. IFWTWA's website is IFWTWA.org. And we're here with our panels, our new panel series every third Friday. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.